Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Thanks for joining the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe.
On this show, we take a look back at the movies of yesteryear.
That means we're going to talk about some of the best movies from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s.
So thank you for joining us. Now let's get it started in here. Hi, this is Zach.
This is Zoe, and welcome to the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe. And the reason we started this show was to strengthen the bond between my son, Zach, and me, Zoe. We watched movies that I loved when I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and we get Zach's impression of these great movies.
If you like our show, then rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, podchasers.com, or your favorite podcast app.
And please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can find the details in the show notes. So, this is another very special episode, Zachary. Guess what's going on now? On today's or tonight's, you know what? It doesn't matter. People are downloading it anyway, so they could be listening into the morning or the evening. I don't know. It's nighttime now at this day and age, at the time that we're recording. So, this is a special episode because we have some very special guests. So they like to refer themselves as two guys that you don't know, but don't worry, you will learn about them soon. They give these great, insightful analysis of TV shows and movies, and I'm so glad to have them on my podcast. They are two great individuals, and I am blessed, or we are blessed, to have them on this show. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome from the Watchin It Podcast, Donnell and Robert. Let's give him a clap. Let's give him a clap because we have no sound effects.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I feel like you are hyping us up to be some people that I don't know.
Overselling, sir. Overselling.
The two guys you're talking about, like, can I meet them? They sound amazing.
Can we get on their show? Well, thank you for having us. This is fantastic.
Yeah. So I didn't tell you this, but I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, and I am a crappy interviewer, so you're just gonna have to put up with my shenanigans. I'm glad to have you on the show. So people can find you at IG on Instagram at Watchin It Podcast, and on Twitter at Watchin It Pod, and they can find you on Discord at Cyberfink. Are there any social media presence, locations, socials that I'm missing from this list?
Yeah, we actually just recently developed a website, and we're now at watchinitpod.com.
Awesome.
Yep.
Where you can find all our episodes, and you can contact us. And yeah, we're very excited about that.
Get links to all of our subscription services like Spotify, Apple, all that. And yeah, you also get links to our Twitter and Instagram, like you had brought up.
Awesome. So that's watchinitpod.com.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So let me ask you, are both of you originally from Washington, or did you move there from other places, and where did you move from, if that's so?
I moved to Washington from the Dallas, Texas area about 20 years ago.
You sound country.
Oh. I don't know how I feel about that comment. But no, you can take the man out of Texas, but you cannot take the twang out of the man.
That's absolutely right. That's all right. I got family in Texas. It's a great place.
Yeah, and I'm originally from San Diego, California, but I've been here the majority of my life. And next year I've been here 30 years out of 33, so basically from here.
Oh, awesome. That sounds spectacular. So wow, how did you two meet?
We worked together.
In all honesty, this man at one point was my boss, and if you were to go back in time and tell me at that time that I'd be doing a podcast with him, I would have been like, no, fuck you.
Right.
But things change over time.
Absolutely. So what made you two decide to start a podcast together?
Well, so we did used to work together, and then we ended up working together again later on.
Mm-hmm.
But in a more equal role, more of a peer situation instead of a
Yeah.
boss situation. And we just sat around in the office all day talking about movies and anime and all sorts of stuff.
And people just over and over again was like, Donnell, why don't you have a podcast? Why don't you have a podcast? And I mean, it's interesting. Me and Robert joked about it a few times, and then eventually we're like, let's do a podcast. And then we did it that first time, and then we're like, okay, let's do it. And so then we got the podcast, and literally the night of, like, that's when we were figuring out, like, what are we naming the podcast?
Right.
How do we do this? Like, we kind of just jumped into the deep end of the pool, and afterwards started shorting things out.
Right. That sounds fascinating. It's almost how me and Zachary started. That's an exaggeration. I basically had to drag him kicking and screaming. It's a great experience. So,
there was definitely a lot of, hey, Donnell, we should start a podcast, or him saying, hey, Robert, we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
Like a lot, like a year
Right.
of us jabbing each other before we actually started making moves on it.
Right. So you guys went back and forth for a year before you decided to take the plunge.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, not to say that I am thankful we had a pandemic, but I don't know if we would have actually done it if it wasn't for the pandemic. Like, we're continuing afterwards, and now it's something that we both have a passion for, and we want to continue forward. But there's a part of me that wonders, like, would we have ever, both of us, just sat and be like, let's do a podcast,
Right.
if this pandemic had never hit?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because definitely the getting rid of all the other distractions,
Right.
was, like, fill the void.
So, how did you always know about podcasts, or did you know about it when it was called like netcasting?
I mean, I don't know what netcasting is.
That's what they used to call podcasts.
Yeah, I remember when podcasts became a thing, when it was related to the iPod,
right?
Which in like 10 years, no one will even know what that is.
Right.
Hey, I'm about to say we still use the floppy disk symbol for.
Oh no, we're gonna keep calling them
no
podcasts.
One knows what it is.
Yeah, we're gonna call them podcasts forever,
right?
For 100 years, and
people
everybody
just won't
will forget
know why.
Right.
Why it's called a pod? Yeah.
Yeah, they originally called netcast or webcast, and then it was a lot more difficult to put one out. And then when the iPad came along, that became way easier, and then people started to call them iPad, and Apple was like, no, we don't want you to call them iPads. That's our thing. I mean, we don't want you to call them podcasts, because it's, we don't want you to conflate it with our devices, but they relented and the name stuck. And you're right, people won't even know what an iPad is in a couple of years, or iPod is in a couple of years. So so you mentioned anime. Zachary is way into anime. See, I'm into that old anime, so I'm into, like, Voltron and what we used to call Transor Z, which what's it called, Zachary?
Mazinger Z.
Mazinger. That's what they call it. Now I guess that's the original name. And the Shogun Warriors. And what I really liked about Mazinger Z is there was a female robot on that series, and she shot off her titties. So we thought that was great. That's
some high quality entertainment.
I mean, she was supposed to be like a peaceful, some sort of agricultural robot, and then she had these missiles that formed her chest, so she would shoot them off in self-defense. So what anime are you into?
I like a lot of it. If you're talking about older stuff, like, I don't know if you know Dominion Tank Police.
I know.
Or Project AKO.
No, I know very little of it. Unfortunately, I mean, I like the ones I like Speed Racer, like the what's it called? I mentioned Voltron, but the Lion Voltron, not the vehicle Voltron. We hated that because they talked about peace too much, and I'm not here for that. And also, there's Battle of the Planet. It goes by different names. It's Battle of the Planets or G-Force, Science Ninja Force. It's basically what the Power Rangers are based off of. Well, first it was the Japanese versions of the Power Rangers, and then the American version. But they were all based on G-Force, because if you look at how the Power Rangers are made up, and you look at how Voltron is made up of the 5 members of different ages, they all trace back basically to what they call G-Force or Battle of the Planets. So
Yeah.
and what was the other one that so
Yeah.
I don't suppose you heard of those.
No, I have heard of Battle of the Planets. I like that. Some of the other older things I like are like Robotech.
Yeah, Robotech.
And Cowboy Bebop, Trigun. And then currently, I think me and Robert both, we're both into anime right now called The Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime, which is just a bizarre and off the wall anime, but it's worth a watch if you got some time.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
What is it called again?
It's got That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime.
And the title sums up.
Wow, that's the title of it.
That's what you're watching, but it's bizarre and it's a good time.
The short version is Tensei Slime or something like that, I think. In Japanese, but
yeah,
the Americans got the long title. Another really good one that just wrapped up is 7 Deadly Sins on Netflix. Oh, that's a really good one, and it had a pretty decent ending.
Zachary, have you heard of any of these?
Yeah, I heard of them.
Have you seen them?
No.
What are some of the manga you like? Back my throat.
Manga? Is that what you're trying to say? Manga,
anime. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Smarty pants.
You know, Attack on Titans, My Hero Academia, One Piece, Cowboy Bebop. They brought it's a remake of Salmon King. I'm gotta get back to watching that.
Right.
What else is there? Can't really think of the top of my head at the moment because I haven't been really watching it lately.
There was a friend of mine. He wanted me to watch Death Note, but I haven't. The only place I've seen where I could probably watch it is, I think there's an HBO version of it. I guess they have but I don't know if it's a live action or if it's animated.
Do not watch the live action.
No,
yeah,
do not watch the live.
I heard.
Don't watch any live action anime. Anime does not transfer to live action well at all.
There is.
Yeah, Death Note is an interesting watch. I personally don't think it's good, but it's a story that should be experienced at least once.
Okay.
I enjoyed it up to a point. I won't say anything to spoil it, but there was a point that when this point happened, I was just like, and I'm out. And I know the whole story. I know how it plays out after that point. But when the point happened, I was just like, all right, well, I'm done.
It's the only anime I ever watched where you have to have a rule book on hand to follow along.
Well, there is one anime that has been made into live action that I'm really interested in watching. And there's this old show called The Starship or the Battleship Yamato. And so basically, have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you know the story. They take the actual battleship from World War II called the Yamato and they change it into a spaceship. And I don't know why they're in outer space. I guess there's like an invading force and they have to defend the Earth against these attacking aliens. And my favorite part is that they had this main weapon called the wave motion gun. And it has a gigantic cavity on the front of the ship. So, and that is, I guess, the emitter for the wave motion gun. So they would transfer all the power of the ship into the super weapon. It was basically, it's like a Death Star laser. So we always got a kick out of
man.
that.
I tell you, are y'all aware that Sony is working on a super high budget Robotech movie?
We were not aware of that, and
it's that's gonna be crazy.
I'm so scared of that one just because Robotech already, what we have seen here of Robotech is a hodgepodge of 3 separate animes that have nothing to do with each other over in Japan, and like Robotech the cartoon, I watched it as a kid and I loved it.
Right,
every part of it. I've gone back and watched it, and while I still love it out of nostalgia, there are so many gaps and weird stuff and changes in characters and season. We're like, what is going on?
That's why you gotta watch Macross, man.
How are you gonna make a movie out of a robot? I mean, I hope it's good because my childhood me wants this movie to be fantastic,
right?
But I don't know. They're also making a Cowboy Bebop.
Oh yeah, I heard.
Right.
No,
TV show.
I don't agree to it.
What did you say?
We'll see.
I don't agree to Cowboy Bebop being live action. No,
you don't agree to that.
I don't.
No. I mean, I can see where he's coming from. So many animes have just butchered into live action that, like, I don't want them to tarnish.
See, I can be fine if Japan does it, But when we do it, I can't be fine with that. I was okay with the JoJo Bizarre being live action. I was like, you know what? It's Japan. They have the rights. But if we do it, no.
If James Cameron can't do Battle Angel Alita, a movie he worked on for 30 years and created an entirely new way to make film, which resulted in Avatar, then nobody can do it.
Oh, I didn't know he even tried to do that.
Yeah, so the story behind Avatar is he wanted to test out the technology of filmmaking technology in order to prep for making Battle Angel Alita.
Ah, okay.
That was his dream project forever, and it is a disaster.
Right.
So I mean, if Avatar was essentially just a test case, then why are we getting 4 more of that?
Because it made $5 billion.
Yeah, it made a lot of money. He really likes it. He claims that he wrote like 6 movies. We'll see.
He supposedly starting next year is when there's the first one sequel supposed to roll out.
Right.
I don't know who's looking for it.
Right. I don't know. Right now, I'm just ravishing in good old American animation. And are you guys set for what's that one? The What If series.
Oh yeah. We'll probably be talking about that on our podcast.
Probably.
Does this?
Yeah.
We most definitely will be talking.
It's
about
like,
that
interesting questions we can ask about sci-fi stuff. That's right up our alley.
Right. Are you bothered by the cell shaded animation?
I'll have to see what it looks like before, I don't know if they're just showing us some or if it's going to be different animation styles.
I mean, one thing for me with it is I definitely want to give it a shot because a movie that came out that is arguably one of my favorite movies of all superhero movies, not of all movies, but of all superhero movies, is the Spider-Man. Crap, I can't remember what it's
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse. And that was really off-putting at first when I watched it, but then the more I watched it and got used to it, the more like they're going for a comic book vibe in a movie. And I kind of feel like that's what they could be doing with the What If series also. I mean, different style. And so for me, I'm like, I gotta wait and see how it plays out.
Right.
But,
so what
I just spent that whole movie Into the Spider-Verse wondering if they forgot to give me 3D glasses.
So Donnell, what did you mean that the animation of that movie was off-putting, or was there's something else about it that you didn't like?
Yeah, the animation, because they were definitely going for some like weird kind of different, like almost like everything was happening like a frame too late,
right?
Almost,
yeah.
Look, but the more you like, at least for me, the more I watch it, the more I'm like, well, it's kind of to be reminiscent of a comic book,
right?
Animated version.
You know that it actually is a frame too late.
Yeah,
because they animated it in what's called on 3s, where normal animation is on 2s. So that means that each frame is held for 3 reels instead of 2 reels. So that's why it kind of feels stuttery and a little slow. Yeah.
I did not know that. I did know that they were going for a comic book look. So they had like the 4-color press look. They had the sound effects that were, I forgot when you write the words out as the sound effects. And so they had that. And the funniest part is when Peter Parker, Spider-Man, hits somebody with a bagel, and you see the sound effect bagel when it hits somebody.
Yeah.
So one last question, because me and Zachary are still hyped off of this. And to be honest, it kind of messed up the movie that we're about to talk about. But before we watched Demolition Man, we watched Suicide Squad.
I knew you were going.
Oh, don't talk about it. We're watching it right after this.
All I'm going to tell you is that it is worth your money.
Oh, okay.
You are going to enjoy. It's somebody.
Excellent.
I watched the YouTube video and they said it was the best movie it's the best DC movie since The Dark Knight, and I'm like, I can see where he's coming from.
Oh, before you ask your question, I'm gonna ask him. Are you ready for
no spoilers?
Don't.
No. Are you ready for the Gundam live action from Netflix?
Okay. That's a good question.
Oh, we're getting a Gundam live action.
Oh yeah,
I'm not a big Gundam guy. I just never got.
Because it's gonna be I forgot who was, not James. Someone they worked on King Kong's Island, whatever.
Oh, Kong Island.
Yeah, they worked on that. The director for that is gonna. They're gonna do the Gundam live action. I was like, I wonder which Gundam, and I wonder how.
Yeah, that's what really comes into play for me is which Gundam, because Gundam. there's just so much of it. I actually went down a rabbit hole a few days ago. they're like, hey, so what you need to know is also like there's the main Gundam storyline that branches like I'd say 2/3 of all the Gundam content out there, but then there's all these like parallel universe Gundams, which I found out like actually a lot of the Gundam stuff I like is actually in the parallel universe stuff, not in the main continuum. And I was like, I didn't even know that. I just thought they were all individual stories, but yet there's a lot of Gundam, and depending on what story they pick, it depends on whether or not I'm interested.
Well, all I can tell you is I remember Gundam when I was growing up, and all I can tell you is nope. So let's move along to the main event. Zachary, tell us once again, what movie did we watch?
Demolition Man.
Demolition Man. What is this? Yeah. What is this movie about?
A police officer is brought out of suspension animation in prison to pursue an old, ultra-violent nemesis who is loose in a non-violent future society. That was by Kenneth Chisholm?
It sounds good to me. That I couldn't have done better myself. Yeah, that I found like a really long what you call it? Not a synopsis, but what you call it?
Summary.
Thank you. Goodness gracious, my vocabulary fails me. I found this really long summary. It's like I don't want Zachary to read all of that. That's ridiculous. I just want something short and snappy, something that I couldn't think of, and this fits the bill. It sounds perfect. So this movie was released October 8th, 1993. I remember it well. It was released by Warner Brothers and Silver Pictures. It grossed over $58 million in the U.S. and Canada on a $57 million budget.
Dang.
Ew, that hurts. That hurts my heart. I didn't know that.
I know. I thought it would have been more. Man.
Well, I mean, look, $159 million was a lot more in 1993.
It doesn't matter if it
it's
makes
not that big of a budget.
if it makes less than a movie cost, that's a problem. That is a problem. Especially if it's Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes. That's heartbreaking. And another reason, short story. This is a movie that I took a date to, and so after I graduated high school, took her on a date, and then in the middle of the movie, she had to leave. I think she said that she only had her babysitter for a little bit of time, and she left, and I kind of stayed in the movie theater. And I have to ask, going back to my better half, Linda, she likes to listen to these things on YouTube that some guy reads off of Reddit, and it's called "Am I the Asshole?" Am I the asshole for just letting her walk off and catching a cab while I stayed and watched the movie because I paid good money to that movie?
That's so. Did she insinuate that you could just chill and finish the movie, or did she insinuate with any kind of body language or anything that you need to come with her?
I think I was too dense to read her. I was so young.
Another question is, because I'm thinking most dates, I don't know how this one is. I'm hoping the answer is actually you didn't play it like most dates, but most dates you go, you pick up the person, you go to dinner, you go to the movie, and so I'm like, did you go in separate cars?
No, we did all of that. I picked her up. We went 8. I think we had
to take the bus home.
She either took the bus or she took the cab. I don't know.
Yes, you are the asshole.
Wait. I have a follow-up question. I have one more follow-up question. Which date was this? Was it the first date, second date?
This is the very first date. I had my eye on this girl for a long time. So this is
did you get a second date?
No, we did not have a second date.
You fucked up.
Yeah.
Assuming you asked.
Wondering about that for many years. So there's
your answer.
The strongest memory.
Waited that long to figure that out?
Yeah. No, I suspected the whole time.
I think. Wait. Let's turn this around. I'm wondering, do you feel like the asshole? But was she the asshole?
Yeah, maybe
because she didn't plan long enough to see this whole movie. Was this her lie to get out instead of just being honest and saying, "I don't think it's gonna work," or "I don't like this movie. I'm bolting taking."
Did she even have kids?
No, she had a baby. She had a very young baby. Here's the thing. I kind of wonder why she didn't plan long enough, because the movie is 2 hours. Why she didn't plan sufficient time to watch the movie and me to take her home. So yeah, that did cross my mind why she just left. I didn't get any vibe that she was trying to ditch me because we weren't compatible or nothing. It's just that she was worried about getting home, and so she left. So, and this is like, it's not like anybody called her or anything. So, I don't know. I always believed it was poor planning on her part. But still, I should have took her home. There's no excuse.
Yes. Especially if you picked her up.
Right. But I was
taking her home.
At the time, I was so frugal about spending money. I hated wasting money.
I paid good money.
Right, I paid good money to watch this movie.
Took her to the $1.50 matinee.
Right. No, this wasn't even a matinee. This is a for real time. This is at night. So yeah, this is
real deal.
Talking about 1993, I miss me some $1.50 matinees.
Right.
Like that is gone.
Right. So I don't know why that happened. That was an interesting life experience. So moving right along, this movie was starring Sylvester Stallone as John Spartan. He played Rocky, in Rocky. He was also in Creed, and he was in the movie that we just talked about, The Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that, too.
So Sylvester Stallone, he was one of our action heroes from the 1980s and 90s, and he played a character named John Spartan, which is a very interesting name for a hero. Actually, the hero and the villain had very interesting names, but he still had the first name of John, which is funny because it seemed like all of the action heroes' first name is John.
I mean, you got to keep it simple for them back in the day,
I
man.
suppose
You
so.
can't be naming them Oscar or anything. Just straight up John. So they go, oh, that's me, right?
Right.
So it should also be noted that he's in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So that he's now in DC and Marvel.
Right, that is correct. Right, he's in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I didn't recognize the character he was supposed to play because his costume is so different. And the funny thing is that when I first saw the Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously I didn't know any of these characters, and I used to read the Guardians of the Galaxy comic. I was like, none of these characters are the Guardians of the Galaxies that I read. So apparently they updated the team since I last read the book in the 1990s when I read that book. So when they showed Sylvester Stallone, he was actually part of that original team that I grew up with when I first started reading it. So it was him. You had that crystalline guy. You had that really thick dude. And there was a couple more characters. And that was the actual original team. So
interesting.
Yeah. So, but they didn't look anything like, except for the crystalline guy, none of them really looked like that in the comics.
Yeah.
So Zachary, who's next?
Wesley Snipes as Simon Phoenix.
God.
Simon Phoenix.
Watch the movie.
Oh my God.
Just watched it. Come on, man. What did they call him in the movie?
Simon Phoenix.
There we go.
Yeah, you have to.
That's my boy.
Simon Says.
Yeah, he has a great
He had the line
tagline. Right. Simon Says.
He had the thing where he would say Simon Says.
My head was in some other place thinking about who the heck was Sylvester Stallone in the Suicide Squad. Leave me be.
Okay, good. Well, continue.
He was in Blade, New Jack City, and Coming to America.
All right, cool. Those are some great movies. Some of these we went over before. We did New Jack City. We didn't do Coming to America for the podcast, but I wanted to note that because that was a fascinating part that he played in that movie. That's one of my favorite Wesley Snipes roles. And I noticed that in his movies, he, except for Blade, in almost every movie, he kind of plays it a little bit goofy. I just now realized that. Because it's such a different character in Blade. You realize that, wait a minute, he's always goofy in like every movie. He's a little bit goofy.
I felt like he was pretty serious in Passenger 57.
Yes, that one,
which is an excellent movie.
That one and Murder on 1600. Yeah, a lot. There are many of his like cop detective roles. He plays very seriously, but a lot of his other roles. I seen him in that Chicago movie, and I was like, I mean, still goofy, but at the same time, the movie I didn't connect with the movie. I don't want to say the movie was bad, but I didn't connect with it. So the next actor on the list is Sandra Bullock, as she played. See, I'm pausing because I got to get this name right. Lelena Huxley. She was in Miss Congeniality, Speed, which is going on the list, and Gravity. You haven't seen Speed yet, have you, Zachary?
I don't think so.
Yes, is definitely on the list.
Peak Sandra Bullock, and I wouldn't say peak Keanu
Not
Reeves,
yet
but definitely,
peak Keanu
definitely
Reeves.
pretty good Keanu Reeves.
Right.
Like his peak, Keanu Reeves' peak has lasted quite a while.
I feel like his peak keeps. Because a lot of people would say Matrix, but then you got to get some John Wick up in there,
right?
And so
I think John Wick is about the same as the Matrix. I think the Matrix is like he's still continuing his peak. I think he like found his stride when he did the Matrix, and he's been excellent ever since.
Yeah.
So, Zach, who's next?
Nigel Hawthorne. He was Dr. Raymond Katui. Katui?
I don't know. Cocktail.
Yeah, Cocktail. Okay.
Thank you.
He was in Misted and Firefox.
There you go again. Wait, it's not your fault. It is kind of a funny name. It's Amistad.
Oh, Amistad?
Yeah. That is a movie where we heard the famous line, "Give us free! Give us free!" Okay, you don't know nothing about that. It was a slave ship. And slaves wanted freedom. My bad. I didn't mean to throw that on you.
Yeah,
so the next...
We're getting dark here.
Right. I don't know a lot about Nigel, but we will read about him in what's his name, the trivia. So next one is Benjamin Bratt. He was on he played Alfredo Garcia. He was in Coco, Traffic, Doctor Strange, and my favorite, Law and Order. Dun, 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 dun.
Stop.
Who's next?
Bob Gunton. He was Chef George Earl.
Man, you're killing me with these.
Listen, leave me alone. Chief George Earl. Earl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
He was in The Shawshank Redemption, Broken Arrow, and Glory.
So you know which guy we're talking about. Remember, he played the chief.
Yes, I know. He was,
the bald guy.
Yes, I know.
Okay, so you remember him? You remember him?
He nailed that role, too.
Yeah, he did. He's a great actor.
I mean, like, honestly, I rewatching this, I was like, wow, he's probably the best actor character in this whole thing. He's bringing his A game while everyone's kind of phoning it in to a degree. And he's got a very odd character to play where he's both like innocent, but also has to be a hard ass, and he just nails it.
Right.
The thing that got me is he's the chief, and Sandra Bullock's character Huxley is the lieutenant, but she seems to be running things in a lot of the movie. Like even pulling John out of cryo is her thing, and he's like, "I guess we're going with it." I'm like, dude, you're in charge. You can say
no. She didn't originate the idea. It was planted by the other character, the one that was old enough to remember John Spartan. But the funny thing is that the chief should have been old enough to remember John Spartan.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. That's a little bit of a plot hole. So anyway, Zachary, I was trying to ask you, do you remember Bob Gunton? I done put 2 of the movies that we had seen him in. Any memories?
No. None.
He had hair in these other movies.
Yeah, exactly. None.
All right, so I'm gonna help you out. In Glory, he played one of the generals. He played that general that was trying to steal like silverware and stuff from the rich people, and he sent his colonel out with his black soldiers to take the stuff from the rich people.
Oh, him. Okay.
Right. So he was that general. The general. And then remember when Matthew Broderick, is that, am I saying his name right? Anybody?
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah. Matthew Broderick went back and he started threatening him. He's like, I'm gonna tell everybody what you're doing.
Yeah.
That is that guy.
Okay.
And then we seen him again in Broken Arrow. He was the guy that John Travolta killed and said, I don't see what the big deal is about killing people. Remember that guy?
Yeah, no.
He thought he was in charge, and John Travolta had to kill him to prove that he wasn't in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. That guy.
Okay.
So the next person is Glenn Shaddix. He played Associate Bob. Remember Associate Bob? The dude with the funny hair?
Yeah, him.
Yeah, so he was in Beetlejuice, The Night Before Christmas, and Heathers. I don't even know why I wrote Heathers down. I've never seen that movie. Anybody seen Heathers?
I saw the original movie, but I haven't seen the new TV show.
I mean, I
don't know anything about. I didn't even know it was a TV show.
I gotta be honest. Associate Bob. At the end of the day, if you look at everything, he knows how to back the winning horse.
Yeah.
This man.
Oh, my recent boss died. Let me go to the guy that killed my boss. Hey, my name is Bob. I can help you out.
Self-preservation, and also he's always on the winning team.
Hey, look, everybody
always on the winning team.
Everybody needs an administrator.
Right. Everybody needs an associate.
He made himself useful, and he's always on the winning side. I'm just saying.
Like, the guys that make the train run on time.
Right. Do any of you guys remember him in Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
Right. So next on the list is Zachary.
Dennis Leary.
Yes, you got it.
Edgar Friendly.
I would say Leary.
Larry.
Yes. Yeah. Leary.
Yes,
Leary.
Yeah, because he's Irish.
He was playing Edgar Friendly. He was in the Thomas Crown Affair and The Amazing Spider-Man, the cartoon.
No, The Amazing Spider-Man, the movie.
Oh, the movie. Okay.
He played the captain. He played Captain Stacy. He was the one that who was the father of the girl that Peter was trying to bang.
Okay.
Yeah, that dude. Yeah. So
and just throwing it in for myself, Dennis Leary is also on the TV show Rescue Me, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that is correct. I never seen it, but he's very emotionally attached to that show because I think his father or his brother was a firefighter, and he's also a very funny comedian. So there are parts in this movie where they just let him riff because that's his comedic style. So if you ever get a chance to watch any of his comedy specials, if you can find it, watch one of those because he's fantastic. So,
oh man, see, I'm old enough to remember his breakout role in The Ref.
The Ref, is that where he kept people hostage?
Yeah, that's where he's robbing them, and they're all fighting amongst each other, and he has to deal with all their family problems.
Okay, I never seen it. I always see the movie poster, but I never actually seen the movie. So finally on this list is Bill Cobbs. As you can see, it's kind of a sausage fest, this movie, but still, Bill Cobbs. He played Zachary Lamb. He was in That Thing You Do and Oz the Great and Powerful, as well as numerous roles in TV and movies. He's a great character actor. He was the old man who knew John Spartan. And what I did not realize when I was doing my research is that there was another actor that played Zachary Lamb. Early in the movie, when you see Spartan blowing stuff up, right? He's in that scene. I did not realize that he was the helicopter pilot that dropped John Spartan off. So then you see him years later, and he's an old man, and he remembers John Spartan. So I've seen this movie a couple of times before this, and this is the first time I realized that was supposed to be the same guy.
I didn't even know it was this time around. I like Bill Cobbs. He's a guy that I don't think about often, but whenever I see him, I'm like, yeah, that guy. And you know what? He could read me books all day long.
Well, so what I was gonna say is Bill Cobbs. Another way to reference him, at least in my mind, is like backup Morgan Freeman. Like if you Morgan Freeman, but he's not available,
right?
Bill Cobbs is a great man.
But see, that would be a problem. That would only be if you wanted. If you only wanted Morgan Freeman as a secondary character, not as a starring role, because I've never seen Cobbs in the starring role, only as a support character. So if you want to, if they couldn't get Morgan Freeman to play God in Bruce Almighty, then they would have gotten Bill Cobbs.
You bring up Bill.
Oh, it would have been good, and it would have been an interesting one because Morgan Freeman's very serious and Bill Cobb's very laid back.
Right.
Like his voice is very kind of like chill.
Right. So, go ahead, Zachary.
This was directed by Marco Brambilla.
Good enough.
What is this? Excessive baggage.
Way to sound it out. Way to sound it out.
Excessive baggage.
Excess baggage.
Excess baggage. What is this? Distracted and Dinotopia.
Okay, I think that's distracted. It's a weird word. Don't worry about it. He made it up. It doesn't matter.
He made it up.
It's based off a very famous book series called Dinotopia.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about be distracted. Distracted. I know about Dinotopia.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes, that's a weird word. I had trouble typing it, let alone trying to pronounce it. It's not your fault. It's a trap. I led you to a trap. Also, this is his only major motion picture.
Yeah,
and
this guy had not done anything.
Yeah, this the only
before this.
The only one, because this movie bomb. It was like an atomic bomb. It's like if you make just the amount that you got back, it's still a bomb, but at least you made your money back for production, if not the marketing, and then you can make the marketing back on DVDs and whatnot. But this dude, he made less than the movie cost. That's an atomic bomb. They don't even want to look at you no more when you do something like that. This is your first. If you had like a string of successes and then you had a bomb, they're like, okay, we'll give you another chance. But your first movie is a bomb. You got issues and complications that you need to work out. You need to talk to your pastor. So this movie was written by Peter M. Lenkoff, Robert Renew, and Daniel Waters.
The music was by Elliot Goldenthal?
Yes.
Sounds like Danny Elfman.
Yes, it sounds like Danny Elfman. There was a lot of beats in that soundtrack. The sound was like, wait, this sounds a lot like Batman. The executive producers were Aaron Schwab, Faye Schwab, and Craig Sheffer.
That's it for the rundown. And if you're enjoying the show, then remember you can get t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, face masks, jerseys, and more at our website, backlookcinema.com, where you can click the link to either teesprings.com or tpublic.com. Now we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to talk about our favorite parts of the movie, some movie trivia, and find out what some of the critics thought.
Today is getting harder and harder to repair and rebuild your property after superhuman, robot, alien, deity, and wizard activity. You want to build a business to last, but in today's world, where buildings are constantly being knocked over by some mad titans though they were Lego blocks, it's hard to maintain your cash flow, let alone your grip on sanity. We at Damage Control can help. We offer a full suite of services such as insurance against super activity, grief counseling, and our specialty, rapid reconstruction. Using our specialized construction techniques, we can get your businesses up and running in days, not weeks, or weeks, not months. When they knock them down, we put them back up. We are Damage Control. Call us today for a free estimate.
We're back. Once again, thanks for joining us. You can keep I should have rewrote this. It's still befuddling my brain.
You can keep up with us? Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know why I can't say it. I don't know why I can't say it. Look, I'm going to start all over again. Let's see if I can do it this time. We're back. Once again, thanks for joining us. You can keep up with us by following us on our socials on Instagram and Facebook at Backlook Cinema Podcast and on Twitter at Backlook Cinema. We encourage you to leave feedback, comments, suggestions, etc. Or you can email us at fanmail@backlookcinema.com. And now we return with our guests from the Watchin It Podcast, Donnell and Robert. Thank you for joining us once again.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, this is fun. This is good.
So
it's a great movie to go over.
Right. So we're approaching the 1 hour mark, so just let me know if you guys need to take another break. So the copy I have here, we might end up going 2 hours, especially we got so many people that need to share what their favorite parts are.
I've
got a page and a half of notes too.
I had a good amount of notes, and then I forgot my notebook at home.
Oh wow!
But I got some. I still remember some things to talk about.
Okay, so whichever one when you guys want to start with your favorite parts.
So I want to jump in with something actually near the beginning of this movie. It's a short character. You guys didn't list him in the credits, rightly so though. He's uncredited for this role. But is that we get an early Rob Schneider in this movie playing a, I guess, police dispatcher or something of that sort. And it's very much like you can tell this is before, like Rob Schneider kind of has a what is it when you kind of play a particular role all the time?
We mean typecast
it,
right?
Or, yeah, and he's kind of been typecasted as like kind of the quirky weirdo, the weird friend. If he does get a main role, it's going to be main character role. It's going to be in a character movie where he's still like the awkward weird guy. And this is definitely before he got that role, but you can see that. Oh, this is leading to that. This is his journey to become the Rob Schneider we all know.
Right. Yeah. I didn't list him because it wasn't a major part, but I recognized him right away. And he's playing his Saturday Night Live character. It's basically a more advanced version of the copy guy. He was a guy going around talking about making copies, and that's all he said. Yeah, and he kind of turned to a kind of a white hardcore White Wing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's the sad part.
Right. It's hard to see the good ones fall like that. It's hard to see the good ones go. All right, y'all can continue.
Definitely, I would say one of my favorite parts, and I imagine one of everyone's favorite parts is Wesley Snipes when Cocteau walks in and he tries to turn on the lights.
Right.
Wesley Snipes is illuminate.
Yes.
Deluminate.
Right.
I'm like, if I ever get some kind of voice activated smart house situation, I am definitely setting it to that for turning the lights on and off.
Right.
Nice.
You don't have that already?
I'm pretty Amish on technology. I have a computer and I like video games and Netflix as much as the last guy, but I don't allow like Amazon Echoes and stuff into my home.
Yeah.
Oh man, Google's got all my information. They know everything about me. They know the size
Google
of my
has
genitalia.
Everybody's information, whether or not you want them to.
And and they're all over the house. I'm telling my, and then I get frustrated when it refuses to obey me. Right. So
yeah. I think the death knell for me is when like I don't know which one it was, but that was like randomly laughing.
Yeah,
like
that was the Amazon Echoes where they just out of nowhere start laughing. Like, oh, that's the beginning of freaking the robot apocalypse.
Right.
Why are you laughing at Alexa's like, I'm just thinking of ways to kill you. Like, all right, I'm out. I'm out. Get out of my house.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Zachary, what's one of your favorite parts?
I would say any scene with Wesley Snipes in it. Just him going off, being himself. Like when he went to the museum, and he was like, "Oh, where can I find a gun?" And then he actually finds the guns that he wants. And he's like, "Oh," and then it was like an officer comes up, and he's like, "How much do you weigh?" He's like, and he was about to tell him, he just picks him up, throw him at the glass. I'm like, okay then.
Right.
Don't even worry about how much he weighs.
He could not kick the glass with his super strength, but he could throw somebody through the glass.
My question is, why does this museum have fully functioning loaded guns?
Yeah.
Like, if you go to a museum today, like a World War II museum, and you grab an old World War II rifle out of the display case, you're not shooting anybody. It's a replica. It doesn't do nothing.
Right.
Why does this museum have
apparently they were so positive that with loaded guns, with their perfect society that they have, no one would have the image or thought of, let me grab this gun behind this glass.
Right.
No one thought.
Yeah.
These are people that were afraid to curse, after all.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I mean, so, okay, I get the guns, right? But endless ammunition abounds.
That was problematic. It's like, especially when Stallone shows up or Jack Spartan. Jack Spartan shows up and he grabs a hold of a shotgun. He gets a shotgun that can only fire like 2 rounds at a time, and he has to keep reloading. Where are you getting all these shells from? where were his shells? He didn't come with them from cryo. Where they weren't like just scattered around. Where I guess there was a drawer in the museum that kept all the ammunition, so you can open the drawer, see what the shells look like or the rounds look like.
Not to mention functional powder and primer for a cannon
and cannonballs.
Yeah. He did use a cannon on that glass door.
I don't even remember the cannon, but
because Wesley Snipes, when the door closed, Wesley Snipes used it on the door.
Right. That's pretty amazing, but it's just enough to have. See, I can understand the railgun. Maybe the railgun was still charged, but as far as everything else being already loaded and fully functional, that's problematic. Because what they normally do is they may use wheel weapons, but they'll gum up the works. They'll pour cement in there or
exactly.
Or take the firing pin out. Or something like that.
Just as
not in the future though.
No. Yeah, that's a brilliant observation because I was thinking the same thing. Go ahead.
I was gonna say one of mine because it's was written as a joke back then, and it's just so much better because it was close to happening. Is I love the Arnold Schwarzenegger president joke because it's just so much funnier now that he's been governor
at the Schwarzenegger Museum.
If he was, or if we could look the other way, people might have voted him to be president. So I'm just like, I just love that. Back in 1993. Sylvester Stallone's taking a jab at his competition, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, put in an Arnold Schwarzenegger joke. And he's like, dude, it almost came true. It was just that much funnier watching it this time around. Because, this almost happened.
Right. That's it. That was the trajectory he was going. If like they actually had passed it, it's we're gonna mention in the trivia, but if there was all we needed was one more amendment, and that would have been so.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna touch on something from the trivia, which we'll talk about in more detail later. But which version of this movie did y'all watch?
Oh my goodness! Whatever was on HBO, I had no idea there was
pizza or
more
tacos.
than one.
Yeah, so I watched the Pizza Hut version.
Oh, you watched the international version?
Yeah,
so did I.
I didn't even know that there was an international version where they changed the restaurant. So yeah,
I didn't either.
Right.
I thought I was like, oh, the Taco Bell stuff, and then they said Pizza Hut, and I was like, am I tripping?
Right.
Is that some Mandela effect thing here? And then I had to go look it up, and like, sure enough, yeah, in the UK they didn't have Taco Bells.
Right.
They had Pizza Huts though, so they dubbed it.
Right.
And it was very jarring for that to come up.
Apparently, somebody did not do their research, and not doing your research is going to be a running theme in the movie that you intend to watch later on tonight.
I'm thinking of that song now.
What? You got to run for the border?
No. A Pizza Hut and Taco Bell song. It's like a meme song.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Because I was like, because one movie has Pizza Hut, the other one has Taco Bell. I'm like,
Right.
That meme song is in my head now.
So, not to cut in line, but since we're talking about Pizza Hut, and basically they talk about the franchise war and how Pizza Hut won. I was like,
the
where
franchise
is that
war
movie?
Yeah.
I want the franchise war movie. Like, sure, Demolition Man was great, but can we get the franchise
I want to know how McDonald's failed so hard after they've been worldwide. Like, what did McDonald's do to fail?
My only theory or input on why McDonald's failed is that they were never in the restaurant business in the first place. They're actually in the real estate business.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, neither was Taco Bell wasn't in the restaurant business. I mean, I guess fast food, but and they won in one version in one universe. And was Pizza Hut. But yeah, that's one thing. When I was watching this, I was like, why has no one been like, we should make the movie about the franchise war from Demolition Man?
Right.
Because that sounds like a good time.
I would have taken the movie about the big earthquake everyone was always talking about.
So John, I'm sorry, but your wife died in an earthquake. It was the big one. I was like, what? I'm sorry, what?
Well,
and that was the biggest dick move, by the way, when he's like, "What about my daughter?" And the dude's like, "We're not going to talk about
we ain't
that."
talking
I'm
about
like,
the life.
Tell the man what happened to his daughter.
I mean, right.
Yes, right. No, because later in the movie, Sandra Bullock's Huxley character is like, "Well, I could bend some rules and look up." He's like, "No, it's better if she doesn't." And then the movie, like you thought at the end he'd circle back around to it. No, the movie ends. He's like, "I'm going to enjoy the future." Like, you going to look up your daughter, or are you just going to forget that she exists?
Right. So there's some trivia about the daughter. I didn't write it down because it was kind of extraneous. Because it's not in the movie and it's not obvious. But I just mentioned it here that they actually put his daughter in the movie. She is one of the what they call the rebels. She was one of the rebels, and so she is at the end of the movie. She's the girl that's standing right next to Sandra Bullock.
Oh,
so that's his daughter. But they didn't. But it's extraneous because to me, it's like if it's not in the movie.
Yeah,
it didn't happen.
They didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just something that they explain later on. It's something they would put in the extras DVD or something like that. And there was something else. They were actually going to have his daughter in the movie, but a lot of that stuff they cut out to make it shorter because they thought that the movie was running too long. So all of that stuff about his daughter they cut out. So and Zachary, know ye not about the big one that they keep talking about in California? Did they not teach you this in school?
No, they did not. They don't teach me everything.
California is on a fault line.
Yeah.
Right? So the fault line is as such is that some scientists think that a part of California is going to fall into the ocean and it's going to create like a new coastline. So that's what they're talking about. That earthquake happened in the future. So enjoy.
Eventually it will just drift off because it's splitting. The state's like splitting down the middle.
Right.
Also, you say enjoy, but this movie is set in 2032. If this is prophecy, it's still gonna. We got what is that? 11 years?
Well,
no, sorry, not 11 years. It's got to happen in the next 11 years. I'm pretty sure all of us will still be here.
Right. Well, we know it's not prophecy because if it were true, the last murder took place in 2010. So
yeah. Which I
also
can't
Los Angeles was on apocalyptic fire 3 years after this movie was made.
Right. And those are based on the riots that were going on in Los Angeles at the time. So Zachary, what's another one of your favorite parts?
Trying to think here. I guess when John and what's her name, because he's like, oh, you want to have sex? And she's like, yeah. And then goes ahead, puts on a helmet. He's like, what is this? This isn't sex.
She's like, I thought you wanted to have sex. We're doing it.
That was about the time that Zoe's date walked out of the movie theater.
One of the things that is just a line I just never thought I'd hear is when she's like talking about what they do for children, and she's like, "Well, we purify all the fluids." I'm like, "Purify the fluids? That just sounds disturbing." I'm just like, "No,
I don't know." I was
like, you're telling me kissing isn't allowed? What kind? How do you show you're in love with each other? You don't do anything but hold hands?
Right?
What is this,
they
kindergarten?
Don't even really touch. You see how they shake hands?
Yeah, they don't even take it. I'm like, what is this, kindergarten?
I will say I do love that they have Stallone when he first shakes the one cop's hand who first greets him, and he gets in there with some good old hand gestures,
right,
giving some daps,
right. He goes into the whole handshake ritual.
Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to mention is that I really love the art direction in this movie, like the way that they did the vehicles, the interiors of the buildings.
Yeah, and they went all the way with it. They didn't have.
Yeah, they went hard on this movie. They went hard with the costumes because you can see that a lot of it was heavily influenced by Japanese dress. So I really love it. Even the police uniforms was outstanding. So I think those cars are probably golf carts. I didn't dig too deep into the trivia, so I don't know what kind of cars those were, but yeah, it was just really nice, so I really appreciated that. All of this, the tablets they have, we didn't have tablets at the time, but now we have tablets, so the tablets that kind of predicted properly where our tech was going, and also the self-driving cars are getting pretty close to that.
Well, another thing is also that conference room that he has where everybody's on these little standing tablets
right
that swivel around. Those things exist. Have you seen those? It's this weird little iPad mount on wheels that you can put on your iPad on, and it's on wheels, and it's supposed to be for having a conference call or having it where you could walk with somebody and talk to them while you're having a conference call. And I'm just like, no one wants to use this. No one wants to look like a fool walking around with an iPad on a stand talking to it.
All he had there was a complex Zoom meeting. That's all that was.
Yeah.
Instead of a large screen with different squares, he had a bunch of smaller screens. Everybody was on
Zoom with
extra
screen. Steps.
Right. Zoom with extra steps. But I loved all of that. The colors, what's his name? Phoenix's costume and the costume design of all of his cronies. It was just, that was just all lovely. So, anybody else? Jump in with your favorite part.
So, I gotta jump in with this because, I feel like the makers of this movie just really, I don't know what I want to say, overestimate or underestimate it, or how to put it, but this movie takes place over 36 years. We start in 1996, and then he's in 2032. I get that all crime may have been expunged, but it's the fact that no one everyone acts like they treat him like he's a caveman. And it's been 36 years. Most of you people were around when he first caught Simon Phoenix.
Right.
And the last murder, you already said, the last murder happened in 2010. It's only been 22 years since then. And my thing is you look at Huxley, Sandra Bullock's character, and I'm like, she was playing someone in I think she's playing someone in her late 20s, early 30s. I'm like, you were alive for the last murder.
Right.
All the old people who are clearly older than her, but still act like, I can't believe this man knows what violence is. Like, besides the guy who was his pilot, who he admitted, like, yeah, I'm from that time. I'm like, all you people, it's been 36 years.
Right.
Not, like, this movie, they were treating it like this was like 200 years in the future or something.
Right.
No, you guys all were there for it. You saw him on the news catch Simon Phoenix, and now you're like, oh, look at this Neanderthal. Like, what do you mean?
Right.
I was like, if he hadn't been frozen in cryo, he would still be here. He wouldn't be young, but
right.
I just feel like they just really were just like, yeah, no one knows what violence is. Like, everyone who's like, there's a very small, like, I always talk about, I work in IT, and I always talk about, like, I'm glad that I'm part of the generation that remembers a time before the internet.
Right.
And I'm just like, all these people who are acting like, yeah, violence is insane. I was like, you remember, there's a very small, everybody who is 22 or younger doesn't remember violence. But majority of that movie was clearly 30 or over. You were all there.
Also, there's still violence.
Right.
There's the underground scraps.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And here, and what something I want to talk about is how bad of a fascist dictator this Cocteau guy is,
and dumb,
right? Because they're making him out like, oh, he's a good guy that brought peace, but he's a fascist dictator. At the end of the day, there's no cursing ticketing machines in his room.
There's no salt,
which is an interesting little detail. But if you're a fascist dictator, you keep the scraps around. You need an enemy to have people focus on.
Right.
As soon as they're gone, anybody can turn on you.
Yeah. And the other thing is how is this just Los Angeles that has found this peaceful utopia? Like, he's not the president of the United States. He's just basically the mayor of Los Angeles.
Well, it's San Angeles, so it's like almost the whole of
San
California.
Francisco and Los Angeles are one now.
Right, but still, it's just the city. So what about the rest of the country or the rest of the state, for that matter? What are they doing there? Are they living that peaceful lifestyle where nobody knows about violence? Or
I think it's a template for the rest of the world or something.
I guess.
I'm like, how are you enforcing it to keep the rest of the world out?
But that's my saying. It's like you can see outside. You can see outside the city.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can. I assumed you aren't locked in and you can travel
no
places.
No one goes to visit grandma in Alabama.
Right.
Which begs the question: why is Lenina Huxley here? Why is she not in the military?
Right.
Or in some like New York or something where things are crazy? Because she's got a lethal weapon poster on her wall.
Right.
Clearly she knows what kind of cop she wants to be, and it's not happening where she's at.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's all. Because it's like when I first watched it, I always got the sense that like the whole country's like that. But when you peel back the onion a little bit, it's like no, it's starting to, the logic is starting to break down, because it would have been easier if we knew that the rest of the world was like this, and not just California. But well, that the problem is that you're digging too deep. It's like a time travel movie. You dig too deep in a time travel movie, you're going to trip up. Don't do it. Don't ask questions.
I mean, this is a time travel movie, right?
Yeah. Not really. It's just somebody got frozen and he woke up.
It's a different kind of
Right.
I want to know.
It's more like a
people
Man Out of Time or Rip Van Winkle type situation.
Yeah. I want to know if people volunteer to, because I certainly would volunteer to get cryo frozen for like a couple of 100 years.
Yeah, everybody that's
and
close.
See what it's like. Like, wake me up when we have faster than light travel.
Yeah, they're doing it now. They're doing it now. People are cryo freezing their bodies, or they're having decapitated and they're freezing their heads in hopes that they can wake up in the future. They did a whole Star Trek episode about that. Did you see that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, with our current technology, it doesn't work. Those,
you can pay people for it, but it's like there's you're just basically giving money away.
I think right.
Yeah, their DNA will be intact, but those people and as like a consciousness are gone.
Yeah. Those people are dead and they'll never be revived. I mean, the hope is that you freeze them and then in the future you'll have a technology to bring them back.
Yeah,
I have no hope for that ever happening for those people. No. Just put me in the dirt, I'll be fine. So so yeah, that this movie definitely has some logic problems that you really have to overlook in order to enjoy it. So the two people definitely that should be old enough to remember the old times was the police chief, who seemed to have no memory of the old time.
Not at all.
The what you call it? The old black guy, which obviously, yeah. And then I don't know. See, I can give Sandra Bullock and the other younger officers a pass because they may be playing like early 20s. They may be playing early 20s, even though they're actually older in real life. So I can kind of overlook that. But a lot of the other people, they're way too old not to know what used to go on.
And they're calling him a Neanderthal.
Right. So, Zach, you got any more favorite parts?
When the cops show up to Simon, when he's at this machine, and he's like, he knows, like, magically knows how to type in it because that's what he was, I guess, programmed into.
Right.
And then, the cop's like, what should I do? It's like, go, tell him to tell the maniac to lay on the ground with his hand behind his back. I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
He's like, approach the maniac and tell him to lie down on the ground. And then if it doesn't work, tell him firmly this time.
And say, or else.
Like,
I love
why would you do that?
I love the slow turn from Wesley Snipes. He's like, well, you done fucked up now.
Right. He was like, what the fuck?
Another one is when Cartoon is like at his building with her, at his home. And then, Simon's like, yeah, I did your job and all. But, I want to be in charge of this place now. And because Simon can't kill him, he has to do the gun to someone else. I'm like, did you not even think that he would, like, you already knew.
Programmed.
You already knew he was trying to kill you the first time. Why would you think he would have just handed the gun to someone else for them to shoot you?
I'm so glad you brought that up because I had that there. I'm just like, how dumb are you? Where like the guy who I was like, you have a problem of you have a guy you need killed, and you bring a man from the past to kill him, and then another man from the past is there to kill him. I'm like, why do you think by bringing more and more people from the past to kill people, it's gonna work out? Like, how is this supposed to make the situation better?
I like to think that they ripped off one of my favorite movies, Sneakers. Where Robert Redford is about to get shot by Ben Kingsley, and Robert Redford is like, you can't shoot your best friend, and he's like, you're right, I can't shoot my best friend. And then he hands the gun to his lackey and says, please shoot my best friend.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's the kicker, though. He did realize how he messed up. At least the expression on his face was like, oh my God, you're right, I didn't.
I mean,
I didn't program him.
Too little, too late.
In reality, if this was real, the second he like just immediately like threw a guy through, or no, as soon as he electrocuted the guy with the wall, all the rest of the cops would be like, "We're out. We're not trained for this. We're not ready."
I do love the police chief when they're watching. It's like, we're cops. We're not
trained for this. Deal with that violence. Wait.
I know. I think that was Rob Schneider that said that.
We're not trained for this. I'm like, what do you mean? You're cuffs. You don't fight? All you got is those little baton sticks? Okay. None of them even use a baton stick. They just all went up to him hand to hand.
Right.
None of them. Yeah. I'm like, y'all have the sticks. Use it.
Right. There's one. The last dude looked like he could fight, but apparently his training was unfinished because.
He froze when Wesley blocked. He's like, oh, wait, you're blocking? Right. What do I do? I'm like, what do you mean? You go for the punch. You don't just stop.
Right. So, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because another thing I just thought about with the dictator or fascist dude, that I was like, what was your plan? Because like, let's say everything goes according to plan. He programs Simon to to kill Edgar. He programs him to kill Edgar, and he also programs him not to be able to kill him. That's still some very loose program. Like, he had free reign in that city, and I'm like, you have. Like, it wasn't his plan to bring back or to bring John out of cryos. I'm like, you now have a loose cannon that, yes, he can't kill you, but he also has no inhibitions in a town where no one can stop him. Like, what is your game plan here?
Yeah.
You just released a maniac in your city to kill one guy who wasn't, I mean, he was a threat, but not as big a threat as he is. And then what's step two? Like, I just want to know what was step two.
Let's release rattlesnakes into the house so we can get rid of the rats.
Right. Yeah.
So the last point I'll make
Yeah, that was my last one.
Is this movie should have been a psychological horror thriller akin to 12 Monkeys, because there's a throwaway line where he mentions that he was awake for 40 years in this ice cube.
How's he not insane?
He would be psychotic. He would just be losing his mind. He would need
40
help.
years of basically solitude.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I don't know how he's not insane. I mean, arguably Simon is insane.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was John, insane before.
Like, I don't know how he's not insane.
Right. I think that he was in a state of sleep where he kind of, maybe he experienced wakefulness, or the dreams were so real that it felt like he was awake.
No, he was awake because he was like, his wife came and was banging on the glass.
Right, yeah. He was aware of
that. That could have been a dream.
Or
that could be an interpretation.
It could have bled into his dreams.
Right. That happens to me a lot. Has that happened to you guys?
What?
When you can hear something outside and it's in your dreams.
I've had that.
That's probably what experience.
Yeah.
It happens to me, especially with your mother, Zachary. Your mother gets on my nerve with this. She be watching.
He's gonna bleep out that part.
I'm sleep, right? I'm sleep, and I'm a blissful sleep, and then I'll start dreaming about just bring it over here, and we'll do something to it right here. Yeah, open up the storage. Yeah, I was like, what? I'm dreaming about storage now, and then I wake up and she's watching Storage Wars. It's like, oh my god, it's Storage Wars and invaded my dreams. Storage Wars is a tame example, actually. So yeah, I can see how Simon, John would know that his wife was banging on the glass. He was in that state of sleep where he's kind of aware of his surroundings. So yeah, that's a trip. So Zach, you got any last thing that you want to look at? So I've said everything that I wanted to say. Zachary, did you like this movie?
Yes, I did.
See, fellas, I did it again.
Excellent.
I love this movie back when it came out.
I would have been very disappointed. Yeah. I'd be disappointed in anybody who didn't like this movie.
Right. And I knew that Mike Lone would like it. How about you guys? What's your final verdict?
This is the first time I've rewatched this movie in quite some time.
Me too.
It's always fun to see, not trifecta. What's the way to say four? Like Dennis Leary, Sylvester Stallone, Sandra Bullock, and Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
All in their prime at the same time.
Yeah.
Like this is the peak of all four of those people.
Yeah. It was a fascinating movie. I don't understand why more people didn't watch it. This should have been a blockbuster.
I know. That when you pointed out that it only made $1 million over what it was budgeted. I'm just
it made $1 million less than what it was budgeted for. That's heartbreaking. So
Yeah. I wonder if it's because it's definitely in a cult status.
Yeah.
I wonder if it has returned its original investment at this stage.
I think most movies that have been out this long, they usually get their money back. Yeah.
It had to by now.
Because it's like we watched it on HBO. HBO had to pay for it it's a Warner Brothers, so I don't know how much money they had to pay to show it. But still, it's been on TV for a long time,
essentially, which is what they did.
But it's been on television for a long time. They keep reselling or making it coming out with new editions of the DVDs and the Blu-rays and whatnot. So I imagine it's made its money back by now. So anybody need a break? You guys all right?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's move on to the trivia section from IMDb, where we get almost all of our trivia and information from. Zachary, start us off.
Fred Decker did uncredited rewrites on the script when he was brought on. The script began in the future, and Spartan was introduced when he was brought out of suspended animation. Decker suggested that this movie open up with a prologue set in 1996 to showcase Spartan and Phoenix in a natural environment, saying that if you don't know Kansas, Oz isn't all that special.
Right. That kind of makes sense. I liked it a lot better that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead.
Sorry, I just because of talking about the time thing, I did remind me of one more thing. The fact that that John Spartan earned the name Demolition Man and being known for being reckless, like they have the scene in there where he saved a girl's life and sees they said that the the hostage, so they wanted like $50,000, and he destroyed a $2 million mall. And I was like, "You're saying that justified?" I'm like, there's the fact that he got to the point of being called an enlistment man. I was like, no, he would have been kicked off the force years ago.
Yeah.
If you are regularly known for causing wanton destruction in your court cases, there's no point where he gets to where he's chasing Simon Phoenix.
This was 1996. Things were harsher then.
Apparently. I'm just like, if you are known as Demolition Man, you are not a cop anymore. Like, you don't keep that guy on the force.
Yeah, you got
man. I just want to point out.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just want to point out, I've never heard that saying before, but it is amazing. If you don't show Kansas, Oz isn't all that special.
Right. Yeah. That is awesome.
That is a fantastic statement.
I was just gonna say that you got these police shootings that are happening every day, and I would argue that human lives are more valuable than police lives, and it is so hard to discipline or fire a police officer, let alone charge him for a crime. It's starting to change over, but like in the Northeast, it's extraordinarily hard because of the power of the police unions. Further down south, there's they have a lot more leeway. Because the police's union isn't as strong in the South. But I can see them destroying a bunch of stuff. But yeah, my favorite part of that scene that you pointed out was when the little girl said, "Fuck you, lady."
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in modern times, if a cop destroyed a museum in order to catch one thief, it would probably not go over very well.
Yeah, he would be put on desk duty for about a month, and then he'll be back on the force. He'll be fine. So Wesley Snipes' kicks and punches sometimes look clunky and awkward. Snipes is an accomplished black belt in real life, and his kicks and punches were so fast that they blurred on camera. Hence, the producers asked him to slow down.
You know, that reminds me of Bruce Lee and the guy that played Sub-Zero.
Yeah, I read that too. And just like Bruce Lee and whatever that guy's name that plays Sub-Zero, they had to slow down for the cameras because they were kicking and punching too fast. So they just need to come up with better cameras. So who's taking green and who's taking blue?
I'm taking green.
All right, go ahead.
Sylvester Stallone described the cryogenic freezing scene as, quote, "probably the worst 5 hours I've ever had on a movie set. I was terrified." Man, wow. I bet. Like that scene took where they 5 lock hours? Him in.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Scenes take a lot longer than what you see in the movie. But I just want to know, like, because like, being locked in there, but also, like, how much, like, there's a bunch of fluid, and I know they're not truly freezing you, but, like, it's got to be cold, too.
Well, I mean, and it looks like they drowned him.
Yeah.
You know, basically, as part of the making the movie magic. And if he had to do that, like, 20 times, oof.
Yeah, he looked terrified. He was also he was actually naked. Also, it didn't look like water. It looked like it was some kind of oil,
like a gel.
Yeah. Oh, it was like, I wouldn't want that. Yeah. Actors, people talk about how easy acting is, especially people who think actors aren't entitled. But acting looks like really hard work. I mean, just like, okay, we're gonna stay up all night and you're gonna get 2 hours sleep, or okay, if you want this role, you're gonna have to work out, and you're gonna have to eat like 4 meals, like 8 meals a day. You have to wake up in the middle of the night, eat this chicken and rice, and then you're gonna have to, pump some iron for like 4 hours every single day, or something. You have to get an insane shape, or you gotta learn how to
get out of shape.
You have to devote your whole life to the role for that time. Like I've seen documentaries about the Star Trek actors, and they're like, well, you come into interview, and the first thing they find out before they find out if you can act is, can you work 16 hours a day every day for 6 months?
Well, I will say a recent thing, because he's been posting about it online a bunch, is because they're doing when we gotta get in touch with Eric from the Hard Mark, because we should probably cover this. They're doing a I know I did it, but still, they're doing a Hollywood Hogan basically like documentary movie, and Chris Hemsworth is playing Hogan. And
right.
They've been showing, like, you've seen Chris Hemsworth. He's already been playing Thor, but immediately he's gotten out of shape since then, because you're not going to stay in that shape. But he's going over his regiment to be in basically pro wrestler shape to play Hogan, and Hogan's been commenting on it like, yeah, like he's all like he's talking about like, yeah, you're looking great and stuff, but like he's just talking about like his daily workout and his daily diet, and it's like, yeah, you change your complete life, and you're on this structured schedule where like he's like, yeah, I'm working out. Basically, I get up in the morning, work out, eat a little like this and that, and I'm just like, that's insanity.
Yeah,
like,
right. Oh man, a good read is the transition of oh man, I don't know his name. Who did the Batman?
I was about to say, we talking about Machinist?
Yeah,
Christian Bale for Machinist.
Christian Bale going to the Machinist where he got down to like 80 pounds, and then in like 9 months bulked up enough to be Batman.
Right.
Insanity.
And I think he was too big, and he had to slim down. It was either him or
he certainly knew
Ben
how
Affleck.
to slim down.
right. He also that was a problem with Chris Hemsworth when he first went to play Thor. His arms were too big for the costume, so I don't remember if they made a larger costume or they made him slim down. So, but yeah, plus you have to learn new skills. Like you have to learn how to sword play. You have to learn how to ride on horseback. You have to learn how to.
But a Hulk Hogan movie, that's going to be interesting. Let's see how much Hulk Hogan insert himself to make him look good. That's what I want to know. After all the things that people have said where he's like, oh, I don't want to lose this match. Nah, I don't want to lose this way. I want to see how much he's going to insert on how good he is.
Right. The only thing I'll say is that I'm glad. Well, he didn't have problems with wrestlers who he respected or who he knew was better. Like, he would never disrespect Andre the Giant that way. If Andre the Giant was supposed to win the match, Andre the Giant's winning that match.
Yeah.
But
that big you don't say no to anyways.
Right.
That's the same with Shawn Michaels anyway. Shawn Michaels was the same way where he didn't want to lose a certain way. So he wouldn't either do it or find it.
Because I've heard Shawn Michaels, Triple H,
Shawn Michaels,
kind of clauses,
X-Pac,
right?
Kevin Nash,
right?
So I don't think anything with Scott Hall because Scott Hall had drinking issues during the times anyway.
Yeah.
So there was somebody I remember. I can't remember. I had a thought and I lost it. So, no worries, it'll probably come back later on. So. We was on a D.
Yeah,
right?
we got so Sylvester Stallone wanted Simon Phoenix to be played by Jackie Chan. Chan declined since aides and audiences don't like the idea of actors who always played heroes suddenly playing evil characters. And I'm just trying to picture this movie with Jackie Chan.
That's kind of hard.
Simon Phoenix. I
just can't see it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, one is like I said, he does almost always play heroes, but even besides that, I'm just like, how do you get Jackie Chan to? I just don't know. It just sounds like such a bizarre and so different of a movie.
It would be really difficult. The closest he ever played as a bad guy was when he was training. When he was in The Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, and he was training Jaden Smith. He was kind of like a drunk, and this is the first time I've seen him play a dark character. So he was essentially a good guy, but he was a dark character, and I was like, and that's the closest I've never seen him play a bad guy. So yeah, that I can see how that would be, because it's the same thing with certain actors. You kind of get typecast in certain roles, and so it kind of bends your mind when all of a sudden, if they're playing a good guy, then they're playing a bad guy. But sometimes it's a kind of stunt casting, right? So you would cast this person because you know that he's always a good guy, and then in the movie there's a twist and that person is a bad guy. So it kind of it works in that way, but you know, you can't shake the prejudices, so so you let them you basically give them what they need. So Zach, there are two things that are highlighted. I don't know how that happened, but you're going to read both of them. Go on.
Sandra Bullock's character Lenina Huxley is asked, "Where did you learn to kick like that?" Her reply was from watching Jackie Chan movies. In the Spanish dub, Huxley says it was from watching Bruce Lee movies. Jackie Chan started in movies as Bruce Lee's stunt double.
He was also one of the bad guys that would attack Bruce Lee. We went over that on how Bruce Lee hit him. Right. And then he was like, you know what? I want you to start my other movies, you know, when we get the chance. They agreed, but because Bruce Lee passed away so suddenly, you know, that never came to happen. Right. And That's Jackie Chan's favorite story.
That's his favorite story.
Go ahead, Zach.
The title was taken from the Police song of the same name, hence the use of Sting to remake the song for the movie.
And anybody familiar with that?
No.
No. I'm familiar with some Police songs. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know Demolition Man.
Right.
So real quick, I want to jump back to the whole Sandra Bullock's character learning how to kick from Jackie Chan. I'll tell you this. I, as a child, and even up, I was an avid Jackie Chan fan. I loved a lot of his movies. I loved his, quirky fight styles and all that stuff. And I can tell you for a fact, I don't know a lick of martial arts from watching all these Jackie Chan. So however she learned how to fight, I'm like, I watched.
Did you even try and practice?
I watched a ton of Jackie Chan movies, and I can't go out and fight.
I'd be like, well, you look like someone who learned how to kick by watching Jackie Chan movies.
I can tell you, we did this, I did the same thing growing up. It's like whenever I watched I never actually watched a Bruce Lee movie when I was younger, but I would see the commercial and it would put me into a kicking frenzy. Just kicking everyone and everything that's around the house.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That was me growing up. So moving right along. For some non-American releases, references to Taco Bell were changed to Pizza Hut, since the former was virtually unknown in many foreign countries at the time. This includes dubbing, plus changing the logos during the post-production. Taco Bell remains in the closing credits. In both the Dutch and Swedish releases, the subtitles still use Taco Bell, while the sound and picture have been altered as above. Also, when using closed captioning on cable television, references to Taco Bell are changed to Pizza Hut. So sometimes Pizza Hut wins and sometimes Taco Bell wins.
Parallel universes. And
right.
Look, it doesn't really matter because they're both owned by the same umbrella company at the
time, right.
Which is why they were able to do both.
Yeah.
And why they changed it up, because the same company owned that and 4,000 other different brands.
right.
There's no choice anymore.
It was like, it doesn't matter which one. As long as you use one of the two, we don't care.
Yeah,
use one of them.
The franchise wars have happened in the background this whole time, and we almost have a winner. Like by 2032, we might have a winner.
Yeah, all the food. This is by one restaurant. This is one restaurant. That's all the food you can get.
Yeah. At some point, McDonald's is gonna buy up all the other two umbrella companies.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be basically. This is McDonald's becoming Disney right here. Like, you know what? We're basically Disney. We got enough money. Let's buy this company and this company. But yeah, we're McLovin' it.
I like in the movie that the Taco Bell restaurant / Pizza Hut restaurant served neither pizza nor tacos.
Oh yeah, I was looking at the food. I was like, that's not even a Taco Bell. That's not even a taco. That's just
some kind of weird paste.
Triangle with food on top. Okay, why?
I just want to circle back to you saying that McDonald's will become the Disney of restaurants. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. The way Disney's going, Disney is going to become the Disney of restaurants. They're just taking over everything. They might only be TV now, but give them some time.
Right now, we have a restaurant. What's your next move, McDonald's? We're looking to buy you now. Come and join the family.
I was going to make a not Guardians of the Galaxy. I was going to make a Suicide Squad joke, but I won't do it because it might spoil it. But I will say that James Gunn is the man. I'll just say that. So, who's next? What's the next one?
H, I believe. No, was it H? Yeah, H.
Yes, H. H is next. Who got green?
I think it's Robert. Sorry. Sandra Bullock's costume during the Taco Bell sequence was made of stones and gems weighing approximately 40 pounds. Jesus. After the fight scene outside the restaurant, when her character gleefully jumps and replays the action, her dress actually started to rip, which is why she is holding her arms on her sides after Sylvester Stallone walks away. Man, that's 40 pounds. Jeez.
Right. That was quite a dress. That's funny. So, y'all can continue.
All right. So then, Sandra Bullock replaced Lori Petty. Lori Petty. After a few days of filming, Petty left due to creative differences, which I wonder what that would be.
Who is Lori Petty?
I don't know who that is either.
Do you remember?
I wonder what are the creative differences?
You remember Point Break?
Yes.
That was.
Oh,
that was a love interest.
Okay, look, Sandra Bullock's a better choice, but I do love me some Lori Petty.
Right. That would have been interesting. I can see her in that role too, especially as youthful as Sandra. Well, as naive as Sandra Bullock. I can see in this movie. I can see Lori Petty in this role.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what Zachary's take would be on Tank Girl.
I don't know. I kind of I couldn't do Tank Girl. I couldn't do it. I was like I could not do Tank Girl.
Break, right?
No, we haven't done it. That's on the list. But we haven't done it
yet.
On
your list. Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely on the list. I actually here's a funny story about that. So I know I wanted to do it. So I looked on IMDb because they show you where it's streaming or whatever, and I didn't see it right away. I don't know why I didn't see it. So I went to Tower Records because I didn't know when I was going to do the episode. I don't know why I said Tower Records. I wanted to do the episode, but I didn't know when. But I wanted to be ready for it, so I went to FYE and I was looking for it and I picked it up. There was like several copies, and there were some like alternate posters, I guess, alternate artwork for the DVD. So I chose one that was on sale and took it to the counter. And he was like, this remake, right? I was like, they made a remake? They made a remake of Point Break? How could they do that? That's wrong. That's the wrong answer. So I had to take it back, get the more expensive version, because nobody wants to see a remake of Point Break. You can't do that. So we got it chilling in the house somewhere.
Nice.
Don't worry about it.
You're
gonna end up watching. I said
What do you got there?
Don't worry about it.
He's opening up a package while we were trying to record a podcast.
Don't worry about it. Like I said, you'll be watching this later. I'm gonna read the next part.
Your weed delivered or something? Like
No. I wish.
It says Space Cowboy. What is that?
Don't worry about it. They know.
Oh, okay.
Right.
They know what Space Cowboy is. They watch the anime.
Moving right along.
Wesley Snipes hated his blonde dye job and shaved his head as soon as filming was complete. After the movie release, professional NBA player Dennis Rodman began dyeing his hair different colors, a look that was inspired by Simon Phoenix.
And boy, was it different colors. He looked like...
I remember that was the same wrestler who went to WCW on the NWO side, if I remember correctly.
No, he was a basketball player.
But no, they had a basketball player come to
WCW. He was.
Okay.
He was in wrestling. Yeah, he was into a lot of stuff. And he's best friend with Kim Jong-un now. The dude's all over the
place. Okay, so I know who not to trust.
Oh my goodness.
I was there for the entire I failed to meet the word evolution.
Of
Dennis Rodman.
I was there. My family were some diehard Chicago Bulls fans, and I watched. I'm not a basketball fan now. I don't know, just not into it. But growing up, me, my dad, and my brother, we watched every single Bulls game. I watched everything I could about Jordan, Pippen, Rodman once he joined. Yep. So I got to watch this man become. As a young child, I was like, "What the hell's going on?"
just a note on how big the Bulls were and whatnot. I know all these names. I've never seen a basketball game in my whole life.
Right.
But I remember, Dennis Rodman was just such an in-your-face character.
Yeah.
Like I remember when he was dating. Yeah, I remember when he was dating Madonna, and like he was on covers of magazines, just like the craziest man in the world. It was an interesting time.
Oh, remember he wore a wedding dress?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wedding dress. Why?
As I said, all over it. He did it before that dude that people are complaining about now. I forgot his name. Oh well, no worries. The audience knows what I'm talking about. Moving right along. In the underground garage where John Sylvester Stallone meets Edgar Dennis Leary, the word LaFrance. I'm messing that up. Okay, this podcast is going all the way around the world.
LaFoste.
Thanks.
I think it was LaFoste.
We'll do it that way because they never spoke it, but the word LaFoste is seen scrawled on an overhead air duct. This is a Hungarian swear word meaning horse penis, but with the T added to the end of the word, it actually means fuck no. It was also famously spoken by Edward James Olmos in Blade Runner in 1982 to Harrison Ford. So, apologies.
Boy, that's some deep trivia.
Yeah. Apologies to all my Hungarian listeners.
I'll be honest. I didn't notice that.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna try to learn this word so I can just go to my friends and if they ask me something, I can just say that word, and they can look at me going like, "What does that word mean?" And I'm be like, "Google it."
Like that's a deliberate decision, and I want to know the story behight it. Like what Hungarian guy or what bet did someone's like? I bet you can't put Lost in the movie.
Right. All right.
Sylvester Stallone has stated in interviews that the idea behind the 3 seashells was that 2 were used like chopsticks. Oh my God.
Yeah, I just read this.
Or to clamp together to pull waste out of the body. Jesus Christ. And the 3rd was used to scrape what was left over. There's no water jet. They had those at this time. Okay. No explanation was made about how they were to be cleaned or sanitized between uses.
Oh, I was curious about that because they kept talking about, oh yeah, he doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells. I'm like, what did he even use for in the first place? Like, why are you laughing?
Right, and they're laughing at him. That is awesome.
I felt bad for him. Like, is there no reintegration? Like, hey, you've been asleep for 40 years. We've changed how people poop.
I mean, there might be, but remember, he's on a timeline. They need to get freaking, which once again, not to go back to things from the movie, but the scene where he just got through his big fight scene with Simon Phoenix, and Phoenix gets away, and then the mayor's like, let's go out for dinner. I was like, you have a crazed maniac running your city, and he was like, let's go out for
let's
dinner.
Take a break. Yeah, we don't want to be paying no overtime to this police force.
Yeah, right.
See, I think this is why they have those machines where whenever you curse, you get a ticket. Just know, if you don't want to use the seashells, just start cursing. Grab those tickets, head back to the bathroom.
I cannot imagine it was very much fun to wipe your ass with those rubbery. Like...
Right. That looks like it would hurt.
Again, I'm sorry. Even now today, we have those type of toilets where you just have water squirt up. We have those toilets. Yeah. Why is it in this movie?
Yeah, go get yourself a big bunch of Walgreens receipts and see how it feels.
Right.
All right.
Just a roll of thermal tape. I'm gonna.
Right.
All right. So next, we're continuing to talk about the seashells because, according to screenwriter Daniel Waters, the inspiration of the 3 cells came about when he was writing a scene where Spartan has to use the restroom. He was trying to come up with futuristic things you'd find in there, which I love that he's trying to figure out what's a futuristic
details, man. This movie's all about details.
He was having trouble, so he called a buddy, another screenwriter across town, and asked him if he had any ideas. Coincidentally enough, the person was in his bathroom, which I have to say, don't pick up your phone when you're in the bathroom.
I don't like when people do that.
This is Hollywood, man. Things move fast. You don't want to miss an opportunity.
Looked around his bathroom and said, I have a bag of seashells on the toilet as decorations. And Water said, okay, I'll make something out of that.
I have to say, the 3 seashells is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, the opening scene featured the actual demolition of one of the buildings of the no longer operative Belknap Hardware and Manufacturing Company in Louisville, Kentucky. MTV held a movie tie-in contest in which the grand prize winner got to press the button that triggered the explosion. You know, I always wanted to do that.
Yeah, that would have been thrilling.
They had a hell of a marketing team for this movie,
and it didn't succeed.
Yeah,
yeah, that's madness. Have you guys listened to Not a Bomb podcast?
No, I have not heard of that.
This is the top. I mean, this is one of the movies that they might talk about. So if they haven't already. So basically the concept of that podcast is that they go through the movies that have bombed at the box office and they do a critique of that movie and try to decide basically if it deserved to be a bomb, right? So I think this would be a great candidate for that podcast. So is it my turn? Are we on O?
I believe so. Yes. O.
Thank you. Sandra Bullock talked about working with Sylvester Stallone in an interview with Rolling Stone. We knocked heads, but at some point, I became like his younger sister. He banged on the trailer with his golf clubs in the middle of the night. Come out and play. he went to go squat golf balls in the middle of the night.
Imagine trying to sleep and you just hear someone banging on your door with a golf club. Tell them, come out and play. Let me sleep.
The combination of using the word bang and swat golf balls in the middle of the night, this has got a lot of innuendo in it.
Makes you think something else is going on.
We knocked heads. I'm like, you knocked something.
What's funny is that she kept messing up like colloquialisms all the time. Like, what was the one where she said something about jack off or something? But she was trying to say something like that.
Oh yeah. Well, no, there's the one where it's like we're gonna blow you, and
right? We're gonna blow you. He's like, blow you away.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, you gotta finish that. You can't just say I'm gonna blow you. No, that doesn't sound right.
Right, that doesn't sound right at all.
That's how you know they don't know how to say things.
Well,
how it's supposed to be.
These are old sayings. She's a student of that time, so she's studying these old ways of speaking, and she's messing it up. So now she actually has somebody from that time.
The only time it was okay when she said, "You can take this job and suffer it," and he's like, "You know what? That works. Close enough. It's supposed to be shoved up your ass or whatever. You can. That's what works."
Again, as Donnell has pointed out clearly, not enough time has passed for that to happen.
Right.
I
agree.
She has a Lethal Weapon poster on her wall. I can only assume she's seen the movie.
Right.
She knows that's not even brought up, but like you said, Lethal Weapon is a movie poster she has. Are movies from these time periods not allowed in this city?
It feels like any type of violent movie.
Right.
These violent movies are not allowed.
Right. It would have been contraband because of the cursing and the violence. So yeah.
According to Dennis Leary, Wesley Snipes insisted on doing his own action scenes. After Snipes finished his scenes, the crew would film scenes with the stunt people.
I like that.
Right. So that's wild. For one, it seems like a waste of money to me.
Yeah.
If he's going to do the scene, let him do. Or I think what it was is that it wasn't good enough.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, okay, Wesley, yeah, and cut. Oh, you headed to your trailer? Cool. All right, bring it, Michael.
All right, bring it aside. Come on, let's go. We gotta get this over. John, get over here now. There you go.
The other thing is
coming back. He's coming back. Quick.
Go.
The other thing is that they tend to shoot scenes more than once anyway. So yeah, that was it. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
So Sir Nigel Hawthorne allegedly didn't get along with Sylvester Stallone's or Wesley Snipes, which
I can see it.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Right, he was calling. His character was calling him like caveman and Neanderthal.
Yeah, caveman and Neanderthal.
That in real life.
The two original choices for the roles were Steven Seagal and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Van Damme was offered the role of the bad guy, but didn't want that role. He agreed to star in if both the lead roles could be switched. So the producers tried to get Seagal to play the bad guy, but he declined. Seagal and Van Damme later played the bad guy. Seagal in Mercedes 2010 and Van Damme in The Expendables 2 2012. Opposite Sylvester Stallone, who replaced him as the hero in this movie. It was like, you know what? If I'm going to be in this movie, I want him to be the villain. I want to be the hero. I don't want to be the villain. What's wrong with you? Have you not seen my movies? I'm always the hero.
Right.
I could see Van Damme as the villain if they went with a more serious tone for this movie. But I could not see Steven Seagal in either role. I'm sorry.
Well, in 1993, this was different times. These people made their decision in 2010 and 2012. Way after their careers had slumped dramatically.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to have to play whatever
back
role.
In the 90s, both of them were that man, right?
Oh, they were.
Yeah, they were. Like, you went to see Steven Seagal movie. Right.
Just baffling. Anyway.
Yeah. He's all that in a bag of chips. So that the magnetic accelerator, possibly similar to a rail or coil gun used by Wesley Snipes in a museum armory sequence, is based on a Hector and Koch G11, a prototype weapon with the German army that would have been the most advanced rifle in the world, firing ceaseless ammunition or bullets, not ferrous slugs. So that's a real choice.
That was a word salad of stuff. Like, Glad I know that information.
It was like a futuristic gun. It was like, what? I feel like that's something from like Halo or Destiny, something where I have to wait for it to be
Imagine
charged.
what they've got now that we don't know about.
Right. It got some real joints.
It was rumored there was going to be a sequel, Demolition Man 2, and it would take place after this movie, in which John Spartan and Lenina Huxley would have married, and Jackie Chan would play the main antagonist. I'd like to see Jackie Chan as a bad guy.
Jackie Chan in there, man.
Replacing Wesley Snipes. Well, Wesley Snipes died, but the sequel did not happen. There was a prequel written long ago that was thought to flop, so it was never made. The prequel was believed to start out with John Sparta starting to go after Simon Phoenix.
So I got to add an addendum to this.
I mean, even if they did a Demolition Man 2, I'm sorry, but Jackie Chan would still not be playing the villain.
Right.
I got to throw in a quick addendum because I looked this up actually when we were getting into Demolition Man. According to 2019 Sylvester Stallone's, they are working on a sequel to Demolition Man. Now, this is 2019.
No way.
Sylvester Stallone. So it's been 2 years since he made this comment, but I have seen other things come to fruition of people who have made these things. So there is a possibility that we may see a Demolition Man 2.
That would be
as
wild.
long as it doesn't flop like Space Jam 2, because I haven't watched it yet, and I'm not gonna like it at all because I'm like, why?
No.
There's too much of a long gap with Space Jam 2. I'm not gonna like it.
Terrible reviews for Space Jam 2.
And like working at the airport, and I'm seeing these people wearing Space Jam 2 stuff. I'm like, I don't like any of you. Maybe if you wear the original Space Jam, I will like you much better. But you're wearing the Space Jam 2. I don't like that. I don't like the colors. Please take it off.
Well, let me tell you, The Suicide Squad, best sequel ever. Okay, that's exaggerating. That's exaggerating.
Too soon, man. Too soon.
Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan is the best sequel ever. Anyway.
Oh no, man! I disagree. I'm gonna disagree. Terminator.
Oh, you know what? Terminator 2 is great. Right. Well, let's just say that. The Suicide Squad is the most improved. Anyway, y'all go ahead.
And to wrap things up, we already hinted at or talked about this, but Leanna Huxley tells John Spartan about Arnold Schwarzenegger's presidential library, explaining that based on the sheer popularity of his movies, the 61st Constitutional Amendment was passed. Arnold Schwarzenegger was passed to allow Schwarzenegger to run for president. In 2003, Schwarzenegger was elected governor in California. Shortly thereafter, 3 senators separately proposed amendments to the U.S. Constitution to allow naturalized citizens to become presidents. Additionally, Sylvester Stallone, along with Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, and Demi Moore, backed the opening of a Planet Hollywood restaurant chain. Schwarzenegger was, in fact, president in the Simpsons movie.
Okay, so here's my only problem with this whole thing. The 61st Constitutional Amendment. I'm like, I want a whole movie about what the other 40 are.
Right.
Like, do you know how hard it is to pass a constitutional amendment? 61 in 40 years is insane.
Right. They actually, a lot of times they cheated to pass amendments, right? So especially at the closing of the Civil War, where the southern states basically weren't allowed to participate in governing, right? They were on probation. So while those states were on probation, they passed a bunch of amendments to like equal rights amendments.
Well, and also like the last one we did, I don't know the number, what we're up to. Honestly, I should as an American, but whatever. But the last one we did is saying that the raises Congress gives itself don't take effect until the next Congress. And that took like 100 years or something to get passed. Like some guy just accidentally found out that it just needed like 2 more signatures to pass.
Yeah.
And it'd been sitting on the books forever. And he wrote a dissertation on it, and he got a failing grade saying this was impossible from his teacher. And he went out and got the amendment passed. It was just like as the biggest middle finger to his political science teacher of all time.
He was like, you think I'm failing because of this? Oh, okay. You know what? You want proof? Here's the proof. Read it and weep. Now give me my A+. Where is it?
Never has anyone felt so smug in their whole life as like, oh, you gave me a failing grade. I'll get a constitutional amendment passed in response to that.
So we are coming to our final segment. We're going to see what the critics think. So the critics on Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 81%. Oh, you know what? This is totally wrong. I did not actually look up the Rotten Tomatoes score. I have the IMDb reviews is at 67 out of 10. Let me look up Rotten Tomatoes real quick.
6.7 out of 10, because on here you said it's 87% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
and
that's
critics,
not right. That's not right. There's no way.
Some tells me that it's a little lower than that.
That this got 81%. I think it's in the 60s. Hold on, let me look it up for a minute. Damn. Hopefully it doesn't interrupt the internet connection. Why do you got to make me type out the whole word?
Okay, so on a tomato meter, it has
racing you.
On a tomato meter, it has 60%. Audience is at 66%.
Okay, so yeah, I finally got it.
Yeah.
I was in an awkward position to type. Yeah, so 60%, 66%. At least it's fresh.
I think this movie's aged well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun because it's not real. It's a little bit campy. You see, it comes out more campy now than it did back then, because when you watched it originally, everything was in the future, so it seemed, and it seemed good. It seemed like a good version of the future, but now we're living in the future.
And it was like, some of those things haven't even really happened yet, so I like it.
Yeah, but it's kind of as far as. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say also, LA didn't devolve into anarchy in 1996 like this.
Right.
movie
Right.
shows.
Right. Yeah, I looked at that and I was like, "Whoa, that's when Zachary was born."
I mean, this was about the time that movies started to get gritty.
Right. Right.
Like you had already had Batman Returns.
Yeah.
Come out like this was just a little too light and fluffy for people, especially at a time when there were riots and stuff going on in the country and cities were burning sometimes.
Right. So yeah, it's a pretty intriguing view predictions of the future. But some of that, as far as the technology goes, that's they've got some pretty good predictions on the technology. So you have it's not impossible to have a swear machine giving you a ticket every time you swear. They could easily do that. It's just not something that we've chosen to do. Right, nobody wants that.
It's going to be hard to imagine basically like salt being banned, chocolate being
banned.
Right.
Like,
I'm sorry, you're telling me chocolate
that's culture, not tech. I'm just focused on the tech. So like they had the tablets, they had the self-driving cars, and we're moving towards that. So yeah,
they had the Google Ask thing. It's like, hey Google, what should I do? It's like, oh yeah, here's a good solution.
See, that's a bad word. Look, you woke up your phone. You probably did it. See, you got to be careful.
Your phone will be fine.
That's like a curse word now. So, but I was intrigued by the move of technology in that time period. So, go ahead and read us the first reviews out.
All right, David Anson from Newsweek. Demolition Man is a movie that should have been fun, and it isn't. I'm sorry, did we watch the same movie?
David.
Boo. So
same on you, David.
Negative.
What kind of cold dead heart does David Anson have?
That's what I want to know. That's exactly right.
Shame.
I felt the same way.
Shame.
Yeah, shame on this man. He's
Where's the bell of shame when you need it?
This is why no one trusts your profession.
Right. So Mike Massey from Gone with the Twins, he wrote, "It starts with explosions, gunfires, characters smashing through windows, careening down staircases, and lunging through 5-foot flames, all before the opening credits roll." This guy enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't tell if he's being like, if he's positive or not. Like, that's just fact about the movie. I don't know what his stance is at the end of it.
Right. Well, it was marked as a tomato, fresh
Good.
tomato. That's how it was marked. So it's probably a lot more that he wrote in a positive light. But yeah, he's basically stating facts. But I think he's writing about the things that he really enjoyed about the movie.
Nick Rogers, the film Yap. Oh, this is a good name title to have. The film Yap. Not for nothing does the film open on a screen-filling image of the Hollywood sign in flames, for it torches almost every supposition that the film made to showcase Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes whomping on each other can only be brain dead. That's a word salad. I don't.
Yeah, and it's bad word salad.
I take it that he didn't like it. That's what I'm going. It's like, the Hollywood sign is burning, and Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes are whomping on each other, and then he refers to all of this as being brain dead. So and you know what? You want to watch a movie where you can tune down your brain. Sometimes you don't want to think too hard.
There's a lot of times
overly examine.
Good,
right.
Non-thinking movie is just what you're looking for.
Right. Sometimes just turn it on in the background while you're vacuuming the floor or crocheting a sweater like John Spartan.
That he was programmed to do.
Right, that he was programmed to do. Yeah.
I made you a sweater.
Oh, that was something I actually want to bring up. Robert, you knit.
I crochet.
Sorry,
sir.
you crochet.
I crochet.
He made a whole sweater in one night. Is that possible,
yeah,
Robert?
Absolutely. If you're a master.
Okay, all right.
Like,
apparently he was a master because of that program.
Like the black hat I've made?
Yeah.
I do that in like 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours. And then, can you make me a sweater?
I don't know how to make a sweater, but I tell you what, if I spent 40 years in an ice cube with a computer injecting the knowledge into my brain, I bet I could make a sweater in an evening.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, especially for someone with a small frame like, Sandra Bullock.
Okay. All right. I thought that was a little obscene, but all right.
Well, you know what I hear? I hear merch opportunity.
hand stitch watching it merch. Yeah.
Right. There you go.
And thank you for saving the guy with the weirdest last name for me. Thank you. Richard, I mean, it looks like Nickel, so I'm going to say Snickle.
Shickle.
Good one.
Shickle. Time Magazine. And he says, ultimately, the script's often sharp social satire is drowned out by the noise and confusion. It's also undercut by casting virtually all the psychopathically murderous criminals and minority group members, which
apparently they only focus on the beginning of the movie. That's all they focus on. Was that first scene in the movie.
Yeah, it seems like it. But what's interesting, and I forgot to mention, it's probably something that I forgot earlier, and now it's coming back to me, is that I was going to ask, remember, we were talking about how, speaking of murderous psychopaths, so when Phoenix comes back and he gets somebody else to shoot the leader.
Yeah.
So does anybody know who that guy is that actually pulled the trigger?
No, I wasn't paying too much attention, actually.
So it's weird that he had such a prominent presence in the opening credit, but that happened to be a bald-headed Jesse the Body Ventura.
Oh, I remember seeing that he was in this movie, and I was like, "Where?"
Right,
I remember seeing him, but okay.
So I'm a huge wrestling fan, especially not less so right now. I admit I've fallen off wrestling now, but back when this movie came out, I was a huge wrestling fan. I watched as much wrestling as I possibly could, and this was back when Jesse Ventura was still doing commentary in wrestling. I never saw him wrestle, but I was a fan of him being the heel commentator, right? So, and he had been in Predator, prominently featured in Predator. Predator was his first film role, and we just watched Predator last week. Nice. So this is so I'm looking for him. When I saw his name in the credits, I'm looking for him in this movie, and it's the biggest guy, and he has a bald head. It's like, there he is.
You know, he almost looked like Goldberg because of this.
Yeah, almost looked like Goldberg. So you see him featured prominently a couple of times. He's one of the first dudes to start shooting when they find the underground people, and he's the guy that Snipes or Phoenix throws the gun to shoot the leader. So I was like, there he is.
So I think the hardest part, I couldn't tell because since he has a beard, I can't see the dimple in the chin.
Right. What were we trying to say, Robert?
Before we wrap up, there's something I like to do on our podcast I'd like to do here, and that's talk about what it was up against at the theater. So we talk about this movie not doing well on its budget. So the week before this movie came out, 2 prominent movies came out. One was Cool Runnings.
Oof, that's a good one.
The other one being For Love of Money. For Love or Money, which was a Michael Jocks. Sorry, we just did Robot Jocks the other day. Michael J. Fox joint, which he was very big at this time. On the same day that this movie came out, so did Gettysburg, which was a gigantic movie. So I just feel like this maybe got, and then the weekend after that, Rudy and the Beverly Hillbillies came out.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
So I feel like there was just a lot of competition going on because they released this in October. It's like that's kind of like
true,
where everybody's going for Oscars and stuff.
Right. That's true, but still, being an action movie and not having any other... See, this is a very strategic release because it's an action movie and there's no other action movie being released at the same time. So there's a sports movie. There's a sports movie, a rom-com, and a historical drama. I remember... That's the one with Daniel something... what's his name? Not Daniel Craig. Chris Dent... Is it the one that was in Dumb and Dumber?
Oh man, why can't I remember?
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels. There you go.
You're telling me an action sci-fi movie lost to a sports comedy, a romance rom-com, and a war drama movie? That's okay. That's good too.
Yeah.
Don't be insulting. Cool. Right.
I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm just like, this is an action sci-fi movie.
Don't be.
It lost to that. Okay.
Well, all I'm saying is that it was well positioned, and I guess a lot of people wanted to see Michael J. Fox. Do you know who won those weeks?
Looking at it.
Information.
Zach, what are you looking at?
I'm trying to look and see which one made the most. It looks. Cool Runnings made the most.
No.
Well, I didn't see it. It was John Candy. I give it that, and it was a comedy sports movie. It had a very.
It was
intriguing...
also really good. Like
yeah. I didn't actually see it, but I heard it was really good. So, yeah.
Oh, if you haven't seen Cool Runnings, you definitely need to add that to whatever list you've got.
Well, that's the problem with the pod. It has to be a movie that I've seen before.
No. Personally, you watch it, not necessarily for your podcast.
Right. Yeah, I definitely want to watch it because it did have John Candy, and it was one of the... I don't want to say that John Candy movies were rarely fun, but I think this is like a crown jewel in his repertoire or in his resume. It's Cool Runnings that I know, but it's like it's a Jamaican bobsled team. How could that not be funny?
It is funny, and it's a really good story, and it's amazingly acted, and it's really just an inspiring movie. I don't know how to explain it, but it's definitely I'd say it's easily a top 100 movie of all time.
Right, and you don't need a specialized audience to watch it. Like somebody who loves this type of movie, may or may not like action sci-fi movies. But a sci-fi movie fan, he's definitely going to watch something like Cool Runnings, I believe. It has a more broader appeal. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it's the ultimate underdog movie. It's, hey, let's go do a winter sport from a country that doesn't have snow.
Right. So, finally, Demolition Man, as of this recording, is available on, it's supposed to say HBO Max. That's what it's supposed to say. I mentioned to somebody, I think I mentioned Zach, I kind of rushed this.
So you did. Because you was typing away. I'm like, oh, man.
I should have did this over the week, but I waited until the last minute to type this up.
Say,
now man, you know.
My bad.
Me and Robert waited until yesterday to watch 13 episodes of an hour-long show.
Yeah,
so we know all about wait until the last moment.
Yeah,
had a whole week.
Right. We're gonna have a look back at season 1 of Stargirl coming out, and we totally decided that last minute. So I literally binged 13 episode series this morning. We decided it late that we were gonna do it, but we had a whole week, Robert. We knew what we were doing.
I wish I had the time to binge a show. I used to binge shows. I can't do it no more. I wish I had the time to do that. So the next episode, we're going to do Menace to Society, which is also available at HBO Max. You haven't seen that, right?
No.
So you have the faintest idea of what it's about.
No.
I've only seen it once. It was a long time ago, and it was on a copy of a bootleg tape, right? So when I watch it this time, it'll be the first time I watch it
officially. It's supposed to be seen.
Right. It'll be the first time. Go ahead.
You got to make him watch the sequel. Don't be a menace to society while drinking your juice in the hood.
Right. So one last time, if you like the show, then please help us grow. To do this, you can rate us, or you can write us review on podchaser.com or Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. And you can write a review. You can also share the show with someone. You can, what's that called?
Hashtag.
There
Yes, there you
hashtag, or you can add us on Backlook Cinema on your favorite social media sites. Fellas, once again, let us know where people can find you.
Don't forget, you can contact us. Yeah, I know, but you know.
Wait.
Steamrolled.
Hold your horses.
About what the script goes.
Hold your horses.
Yes, man. It's showing that he doesn't want us advertising at all in this thing. He's just like, they're out. They're not.
Keep up. Listen to what I'm saying. I know you got the script, but listen to what I'm saying.
Do as I say, not as I wrote.
Right.
But they also say believe none of what you hear and only half of what you read.
Right. Go ahead, fellas.
Yeah. You can find us on our website, watchinitpod.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Watchin It Podcast. Donnell, where else can they find us?
You can get us at Watchin It Pod on Twitter or watchinitpodcast@gmail.com. And yeah.
All right. So and of course you have all of your socials and stuff on your website.
Yeah. I gotta
check that out.
You can contact us through there and all that good stuff. You can email us from there. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter. It's like
Instagram,
having a website
Twitter,
really does
Discord.
make a difference.
Right. So I need to check out your website. I was looking for.
We just created it this week, so
right.
No.
Oh, okay.
We've had it for 2 weeks.
Right.
2 weeks. Oh, okay.
We've had it for 2 weeks.
Right. All right. So now you can go, Zachary.
Yeah, you can contact us. Just go ahead and send an email at fanmail at backlookcinema.com because apparently we haven't been getting any since.
Yeah. If we get some, we'll read some. All right, but we ain't getting none yet.
What do you mean? We? You mean you?
Well, both of us.
You.
You. Our podcast, you might read some.
No, there's no guarantee.
So go ahead and write reviews and whatnot. Believe me, it matters. Be safe, hug your loved ones, and be outstanding.